Okay, thank you, Rick. We're going to move on now. I'm going to turn the podium over to Pete Keating, the chair of the Board Development Committee. He will be presenting his committee report and getting us ready for the election. Pete?
There are no slides in this presentation.
Wow, that's amazing.
All the information is in your booklet. Thank you, Nancy. Before presenting the slate, I'd like to introduce the members of the 2010-2011 Board Development Committee that are present today. I'd ask them to stand when I call their name. Bernadine Irby-Cobb, Nancy Dean, Ann Doyle, Luann Thomas-Ewald, Heather Conders, Heather's here, Francine Pegaeus, Kelly Van Warmer, and Aquila Queen. Please give them a round of applause. It's been my privilege to serve as the chairman of this fine Board Development Committee, and I can assure you they've worked very long and hard and conscientiously on behalf of the best interests of the girls and this great council. Delegates and other members can refer to page 27 of your workbook where the biographies for each nominee are contained. And I'd like the nominees to please stand and remain standing as I call your name. And I'm going to ask you all to hold your applause until everyone has been introduced. For Secretary, Board of Directors, elected to a 3-year term, Aquila Wainwright. For Directors at Large to the Board of Directors, 6 to be elected for 3-year terms, Bianca Pavel, Ronia Cruz, Seema Vera Prince, Richard Sundquist, Judith Willard, Maria Zardes. To the Board Development Committee, from a non-board membership, 1 to be elected for a 3-year term, Meena Chakraborty. For National Council delegates, 18 to be elected for a 3-year term, Robin Lee Ackerman, Mary Suzanne Banty, Kathy L. Booth, Angela Lorraine Bumpus, Kristen Nicole Collins, Linda Diane Dandridge, Mary Elizas, Tracy Fournier, Ellen Marie Green, Tiara Lynn McNabb, Lisa Catherine Morris, Zelda N. Neal, Kathleen Lynn Ossian, Nancy Philippart, Tracy Lynn Walker, Danita Lynn Winbush, Kyla Lynn Winbush, Anna Jolene Young. For National Council alternates, 6 to be elected for a 3-year term. Christine Blumhardt, Joyce Petrick, Carolyn Kolowski, Janet Robert John, Catherine Smith, Dorothy Tang. Madam Chair, these are the persons selected by the Board Development Committee for nomination in today's election. We thank all of you for accepting this nomination and agreeing to serve the council in these important positions. The nominees may be seated. Are there any questions from the Board Development Committee process that I can answer at this time? Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Peter, and thanks to the Board Development Committee for a job well done. So moving on, the workbook confirming the nominating committee slate was mailed to delegates on February 24th, 2011, 30 days before the annual meeting. Our bylaws require that additional nominations must be made in writing at least 10 days prior to the annual meeting. There were no nominations received from delegates, therefore we will proceed with the election of the slate as Pete outlined. Our bylaws require a ballot vote unless the election is uncontested, in which case the vote may be taken by voting card. Since this election is uncontested, we're going to use our yellow voting cards today. So delegates, are you ready to vote?
Yes.
Okay. So please get out your yellow voting card that you received when you registered today. All those in favor of the slate as presented by the Board Development Committee, please raise your yellow voting card. Okay, thank you. You may lower your card. All those opposed to the slate, please raise your yellow voting card. Okay. So there is clearly a majority in the affirmative, and I declare that the slate has been elected. So congratulations. So first I'd like to ask all of those who are newly elected to the Girl Scouts of Southeastern Michigan. So for board members, that is if this is your first time serving on the organization, I'd like to ask you to stand. On behalf of the council, I welcome you to your positions, and the girls will now present to you your new board development, or your new Girl Scout pin and a copy of the promise. If you would still remain standing, so again, welcome to Juan and Rania to the board. Now I would like to ask all continuing board and board committee members to please stand. And I would now also like to ask all of the newly elected National Council delegates and alternates to please stand. Okay, let's give them all a round of applause. Thank you to our new members, but also to our continuing members for their continued support of Girl Scouting. Oh, don't. No, actually, you can't. Before we go on to reaffirm our pledge to Girl Scouting, I would like to take some time to acknowledge our members of the board and the board development committee who are going to be retiring. And I'm going to call them up and ask them to join me at the podium when I call their name, because we certainly want to thank and acknowledge them. So I will go through the name. I know some of the retiring board development members could not be here today. So Carolyn Birdie will be leading the board. Debbie Dingle is leading the board. Wendy Johnson, if you come up and join me, please.
Yeah, Wendy just said he's Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much.
You saw Wendy Hodling. She just came off of 2 knee surgeries. I don't believe Bernadine Irby Cobb or Kelly Van Wormer are here today, but they are retiring from the Board Development Committee. So again, let's give a round of applause to Okay, now I'm going to ask the entire audience to rise and to please join our new and continuing officers, directors at large of the Board of Directors, Board Development Committee members, Board Committee members, National Council delegates, and alternates as we rededicate ourselves to Girl Scouting by reciting the Girl Scout promise.
On my honor, I will try to serve God and my country, to help people at all times, and to live by the Girl Scout laws.
Thank you. You may all be seated. Again, I want to add my thanks and my appreciation to those who are retiring from the board and the board committees. It's been my great honor and privilege to have worked with you as your board chair over the past year. In addition, again, I want to